Thank you for joining Hawaii Wellness Network. And we are going to talk about success today. And thank you for joining us. And you are here because you have taken the forum workshops and a big believer, and it's made huge changes in your life. And so you'd like to talk a little bit about that and all the benefits. And so thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for the invite. Yeah.
So Walter, do you want to talk about like where you came from, or how did you find the forum? And
well, the short version is that 25 years ago, I found out that I was blaming my mom every time something didn't work, and that wasn't working. And I started looking for what could I do, because it was just an automatic thing I always did. If anything went wrong, then, well, it's because of how my mom treated me when I was a kid, and da-da-da, right? And that was my story. At the age of 24 years old, I was a wreck and making a lot of money, but no real quality of life. And I started looking for things. Anyway, my sister invited me about 10 years ago to do the Landmark Forum, and I had already done a lot of work, so I was pretty sure I knew what it was she was offering me, and I kept declining her. Well, thankfully, she never gave up. And after 10 years of her inviting me and me declining, I finally went and participated, and it's completely shifted everything.
it's like, okay, I'll go. Stop. I'll give you a hug.
It was almost that.
Yeah.
It was almost that. But yeah, so 4 years ago, I went and took the Landmark Forum, and the progress I've made in that short time, it far eclipses everything I did before that.
So you're glad your sister was persistent.
Yeah, I love my sister. She's my
Well, you
favorite.
love her more now.
She's,
I'm sure.
I
Maybe
don't know
always
how to
heard
love
you.
her more. She's just one of my favorite people. She's always
Wow.
has been. And I don't know what was on my mind that I kept turning her down.
And do you think that you got into those patterns of blaming your mom because everybody else in society and people around you were doing that?
I don't think so. I think it's a characteristic of being human that when we're confronted with circumstances that we don't understand or can't explain, or that we don't feel powerful about those circumstances, then we look for, well, how come it's happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And, my mother and I had a very contentious relationship when I was young. And so, like every parent, she didn't have a manual about how to raise me. She did what she did, and she did what she thought was best. And of course, I had all my stories about what she did wrong. And so that was the thing I just pointed at. And that was the easiest, to me, it was the most obvious. If she had done this, I would have been like that. Or if she hadn't done this, then I would have been better. And that's just the story that I had. And what came up in 1986 was that I was unaware that that's what I was doing. I didn't realize day to day that I was blaming my mom for what wasn't working. It wasn't until I started actually doing some work about how to create more success and results in my life that I even discovered that that's what I was doing. And when it was shown to me, it was like, hey, that's pretty.
So it was more subconscious and more, you just were in such a pattern of doing it, habit, that other people had to point it out?
Well, I'll say it was automatic. So it didn't require any effort on my part to blame my mom. It was already happening, right? It was
habit.
It was an ongoing thing. And nobody pointed it out to me. What happened was that I was in a course not the same as, but not completely unlike what the Landmark Forum is. And in that course, I just saw it happening. I was doing an exercise and I said, wow, I just made this thing not working her fault, and she's not here. What's that? And then when I looked more closely, I realized that was going on everywhere in my life.
And it wasn't hurting her. She had no idea. She's living her life and being happy, and all you're doing is putting yourself behind bars and trapping yourself by doing that.
The only consequence to her was that, as my mother, of course, she would want to see me be really successful. And so my lack of success, I'm sure, was causing her some disappointment. But other than that, no effect on her at all.
Right, and we think it is, all about
Sure,
that.
blame her, it's her fault, make her bad and wrong.
Yes. Well, great. Would you like to share your story and how you got introduced and the differences it's made in your life?
Well, it's a different story. It's a little bit of a different take. My father was a cop and my mother was a school teacher, and they were the best of parents. I don't have any issues with my parents. Never had any
I've
issues
never
with my
met
parents.
anybody like
They
that.
were
That's nice to hear.
absolutely perfect. The challenge was, if you have parents like that, what kind of student are you supposed to be? And so I wasn't that kind of student. I wasn't making A's and B's. I was a C and D student. And that really caused me a lot of pain. It really caused me a lot of pain. I could not figure out what was going on. So this question about who are you, where are you from, what are you here to do, those questions were paramount for me because of what my failure was producing in me in school. And so my motivation or my drive to get to talk to you about this subject matter, if you will, came from that. And so, make a long story short, I began to get some success. I started reading books about brains and how brains function, and visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners, all that kind of technology, if you will. And I learned that I was a visual learner. I have to have visual stimulus for me to remember anything. If I read something on a page on a book, and I put the book down, and you ask me right beside me, what did I just read? I can't tell you. I just really can't tell you. But if I form a picture, either in my imagination or there's a picture in the book that associates the content of what I'm reading, I'm done. I got it wired. So when I mastered all that, the big question is, my father being a police officer, what causes people to do the things that they do? I mean, really, what drives people to behave the way that they do? And what causes people to be highly successful and have an incredible life, and other people on the corner begging for 25 cents? What causes all that stuff? So I majored in psychology at college. I wanted to be a psychiatrist, but I couldn't get through German, and German was one of those subject matters you had to have in order to read Freud's work, because it was all in German, so I didn't make that happen. And so once again, that failure piece began to surface for me. And so I just pushed. I really pushed to be successful. I was an athlete. I played basketball, football, baseball through college, all through high school. I was really successful physically, but I didn't feel like I could do anything beyond that, meaning mentally or intellectually. I just didn't have it. And so somebody introduced me to a seminar. It was called Money and You.
Well, that would get my attention.
Yeah, it was called Money and You. It got my attention. I mean, it
Yeah.
really got my attention. Money, okay, you, okay.
And how does this all work?
And it was one of those divine accidents, And, the methodology was accelerated learning. So it was 3.5 days of intensive classwork, but it wasn't class. It was 65% activities, 25% talking about what you experienced in the activity, and only like 15% lecture. So it was perfect for me. And my life never was the same after that. I became their partner. I've been in that business for the last 30 years, touched the lives, hopefully in a positive way, of over 125,000 people. And how is that connected to this work? I got so excited about that work, I decided to go to as much work like that as I could, and that's how I ran into the EST organization, Landmark Forum. And it was the same kind of work. And what I mean by that, it was the same kind of work. It was like turning the lights on when you walk into a dark room. I didn't know that much of my life was available to me. I just didn't know it. And once I knew, get out of the way. Once I discovered that possibilities is not just a word, change is just not an effort. Having fun and abundance in your life is not only for a few. It's for you, it's for you, it's for you, it's for you, it's for anyone. But if you don't know how to do it, you're done. The guy that's on the street begging for that 25 cents does not know how to do it.
And you get to meet all those people.
I get to meet all those people.
And they're all like-minded people and the graduates, and then you actually get to keep in touch with them and go to other events and have a support system of other successful people.
They're all sweet human beings. I mean, I haven't been any place in the world where human beings weren't marvelous. I just haven't. I've been in Vietnam, I've been in Europe, I've been in Mexico, I've been in Hawaii. Human beings are human beings. They want the same for their children, they want the same for themselves, and the problem, if there's a problem, is by what method do they have it? By what method do they get it? And most people, I'd say 99, one of my mentors is Buckminster Fuller, and he was the guy that created the geodesic dome and was really a humanitarian. And so one of the things that he says is 99.9999% of the people have no clue what they can be and what they can do because they just don't know. And all you have to do is transfer that information to them in an elegant way that works for them as far as learning skill and learning style, and you're done.
And so you're both teachers.
Yeah.
Well, you made that very simple.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're proponents,
okay.
we're teachers,
I would say-
yes, we are.
Well, at the workshops.
We're not teachers at the workshop we're attending.
We're students.
We're students.
You're still students. Wow, I was
I'm
like,
actually,
there's people that know that are teachers and
Yeah.
that come in.
Yes.
here's the thing I'm going to say, and what Dwight really pointed to this when he talked about showing it to people in an elegant way. And what I'm going to say is that the Greek word that's the root of education is eduko, which means to draw forth. And really what's so is that nothing I'm using today in my life is really something someone else taught me as much as it is something I've discovered in a way that I can digest it.
Right.
Now, some of it was shown to me by other people, but a lot of what was shown to me by other people is of no use to me at all. Because of the way it was shown to me, I'm not getting it. Like Dwight was talking about, if it's a certain way for him, he can see it, then it's his. But other than that, it doesn't really work.
Right.
And so what's great about this education process is that even though our leader that's leading the workshop now has done this type of work for, well over 30 years, even though that's her background, she's not teaching us anything. What she's doing is she's engaging us in a rigorous conversation about exploring what we are up to in our life and who are we being while we're up to whatever it is that we're up to. And in that process, things that you maybe don't know that you don't know about yourself suddenly pop to light. You go, I can do that. And it's magic when that happens.
So the exercises that you do during the weekend are actually just facilitating for you to learn and to have your aha moments.
Yeah, it's application.
And
It's application of the work. The real work is in the room, and that's my preference of the work that's being done in the room, because you see it working in other people.
Yeah.
Because what they share publicly in this room is really something that's dear to you too. So you see it from different perspectives, but it's the same learning. So it's a wonderful way to get the information. It's a wonderful way to apply it. It's just a really great way of getting better at who you are and who you want to be and what you want to be.
And the workshops are ongoing. So once you take the first one, there's actually, workshops for the graduates, and you have one coming up soon.
Yes, we do. In fact, you're speaking directly to our motive for the work that we're doing here in Hawaii now, and that is to keep the conversation alive. Mm-hmm. Because it's in the process of the conversation that we are reminded of distinctions we might have forgotten about. But once you have a discovery, like the one I made about blaming my mom, right? I can never forget that.
Right.
Now that's part of who I am. I know that when a situation arises, I could blame somebody or I could be responsible, but I can't do both. Right?
That's kind of hard to do both.
Right. But now it's a really clear picture for me. I can either blame someone or be responsible. And so what we're up to in Hawaii is creating this conversation on an ongoing basis. We have an awesome event coming up on May 7th, which is a Tuesday evening. And that's an event where not only can graduates come and join our workshop, which they can do anytime. The schedule's posted on our website, landmarkinhawaii.com. But not only can the graduates come and join us as visitors in the workshop, but also on May 7th, the room is going to be open for anybody to come in and listen to what is Landmark Education all about, what is the Landmark Forum, how does it work, and what difference might it make in your life. And that's, I think, just an awesome possibility.
So just getting your questions answered.
Absolutely.
Well, it's huge because even that format is not offered in the state. It hasn't been offered in the state for the last 25 years. You would literally have to go to California to be in that conversation. So we're very excited about bringing that conversation here.
What do you think, from your opinion, some of the blockages are? Times have changed in the last couple of years, and, whether the government and the jobs and the taxes and getting involved in everybody else's fear, which is not our own. And so, people want to have success and want to make changes, and how could this help them with some of the blockages that they're having?
I have to say that Dwight's already pointed really very well to that, and that's that we all have circumstances. And even though the circumstances change, you'll always have circumstances. That's never going to go away. And if you have some method by which you can master circumstances, then it won't matter what the circumstances are.
Doesn't matter.
You'll have an experience of being powerful in your own life around the things that you're up to that matter to you. And if you have that, then the circumstances are just, that's the background story that your life is played against.
Right. It's like reality. When you look at the word reality, when people say, well, this is reality. My reality is I don't have a job. My reality is my relationship is bad. My reality is my kids are really terrible. My reality is I don't have any money. And my reality is my future is not bright at all.
That's sad for me to even hear you say that.
Well, who made that up? I mean, who made that up? And if you believe that to be true, and at one time in my life, I believed that to be true. If you believe that to be true, you're not going to win the game of life. But if you can have an experience, and I'm not talking about belief, if you can have an experience that is not so, and that you can change that in an instant, in a moment, in a day, in a week, and you have that experience of it, that'll never be so for you again. And so formats like this, distinctions like this, education like this, brings that right to the learner, brings it right to whoever that learner is. And so my experience of all these programs might sound like a little hype, but it's not. My experience is when a person walks into one of these environments, they're one way. When they walk out, they're different.
Right.
Because they see the world totally differently. Even if it's just a molecule of the world, they see it different. And that molecule has this possibility. It opens, and that happens kind of naturally. So it's just a mind-blowing opportunity.
And how nice that you can actually have a.
You're shaking my head.
Okay. I was pointing to Walter that you have there's other people that went through the same aha moments and the same experience at the same time with you in this amazing safe place that you can, talk about yourself and be personal and be open. And then you can actually, if you are having some struggles, you have somebody to talk to about it.
Yeah, it's like having this conversation with you. I haven't met you before 14 minutes ago or 13 minutes ago. But right now, because of the subject matter that we're discussing, and you talking some of your truth and I'm talking some of my truth, there's kind of a relationship that's forming very, very quickly. So one of the things that happens in these environments is you begin to form new relationships outside of the ones that you would normally have, and they're common ground relationships. They're
and another characteristic that they have in them is that the relationship you create are not the average, ordinary, everyday relationships you have out in the world where people are, let's say they're a little bit resigned to their cynicism about what's possible and what could happen. These relationships are people who actually observe you for who could you be? What's great about it?
Without saying it.
Yeah,
that's
it.
amazing.
Right, it is. It is.
It's nice to have someone go, hey, what do you said this and you're not, you're a little off track today. And you're like, oh, okay. Sometimes, so you need somebody in your life to point you out. And
it's like being loved. It's like when I've had 3 children and I made it a point to love them. Okay.
Well, that's
but I'm a
that's
child
nice
too.
Here.
And so when I get that someone really loves me and cares about me, man, the world kind of changes, for me. And that's what happens with these relationships. That's what happens with the people that attend these programs. That's what the environment's like. It's just a wonderful place to be.
Wonderful. So do you want to give out your contact information again? And so if someone wants to get some more information?
Yeah, I would say the thing to do is go to landmarkinhawaii.com, which Dwight created. Thank you very much.
Nice.
I'm not a tech. I just created it.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah.
And on there is a current schedule of the Being Extraordinary workshop, which is a 10-session series that we're currently running. Also on there will be answers to questions you might have. I believe both of our contact information is on there as well. I'm happy to answer any email or phone requests. And if you're a graduate of EST, the Forum, or Landmark, then by all means come join us at one of the events that's on the website. And as we go forward, we'll be using that website to publicize other events that we're developing.
Wonderful. And they can find your information on Why Wellness Vegas as well. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us. And I actually went to Forum in college, so that was nice. Somebody introduced me and gave me some really good foundations to start out.
Well, I'm going to invite you to come and
I'm excited.
attend as a visitor any of the remaining sessions. There's 7 more sessions to go.
I wasn't even waiting for your invitation. I was invited.
Oh, very
myself
good.
after
Good for
the
you.
conversation. I was like, I'm going.
You've done this course, haven't you?
Yeah, and I'm ready to get to the next level.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for
So,
you. We welcome
excited
you.
you
And
guys
thanks
are
for the
here.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Great, thanks for coming on.
All the best.